going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another preview stream. It is the Champions League back around. We got Copenhagen at home, and 3 points is a must. And the only result that's going to be tolerated this week
is a win.
Yeah,
100%. People are saying we play 38 games away now. We don't know how many home games.
Yeah, well, with Thomas Frank saying about the home crowd and what Vicario's been saying, and I want to get into these comments that have been doing the rounds from the press conference. Quite an interesting press conference today. So what quotes are we going to go through?
Well, first of all, he was dealing with the fallout of the whole Jed Spence and Van der Ven situation. He did confirm that they both went into his office and apologised, unprompted, because they didn't want to. They apologised because it seemed on video that they were being disrespectful to him. They didn't want it to come across that way, so they apologised. But what was quite interesting was they were asked what it was about. He said they wanted to say sorry for the situation. They didn't want it to look bad or disrespectful, or all of the kind of perceptions you can get in these media world. That was not the intention at all towards me or the team or the club. But they were frustrated with the performance, the loss, and the booing during the game. That's quite interesting. They're saying they were frustrated with the booing from the fans. That was part of the reason for their reaction at the end of the game.
Yeah, I don't really know what to make out of that. I mean, I know, like, when you're losing and you're frustrated and you hear booing, it can probably compound to that frustration. I know kind of when I'm in an away end and just watched a really bad performance, I know it's a different thing from a fan to a player on the pitch, but when you're in an away end and let's say at Arsenal away or at Chelsea away, or a big London derby like that, and you're in that away end, you've just suffered and watched through this terrible performance, and you're hearing all the goading from the home fans and the jeers and stuff like that. It does make you even more frustrated. So I wonder if it's like a kind of similar kind of feeling to that.
Vicario kind of added on to that. He was asked, has there been a talk amongst the team? He said, "We have spoken. We need cooler heads during the game. If we had a bit more help in some situations from the stands, maybe we could do a bit better, but we can't control that." But he says, but they can obviously express their pain. So again, another call from a player, a manager now, a player, saying we need more from the fans. And so kind of, I don't know, is there blame being led on the fans' door here?
I mean, I don't like, if it is blame towards the fan, I don't like that. However, I do agree with him that the fans need to do a lot more. The fans need to be the 12th man. The fans need to be backing the team through thick and thin, no matter how the team's playing, especially in a big London derby like that against Chelsea or Arsenal. But you can't put blame on the fans for the performance. Like that's not on.
But it seems to be it's the first thing he's kind of mentioned is the fans. It's talking about, obviously they've acknowledged that the team need to do better, but when asked about the situation, he didn't say, we were awful. And the first thing he says in some situations, we need a bit of help from the stands. That's like the first thing he's mentioned there. Yeah. So that's clearly in the forefront of their minds.
And it is the same as well from a fan's perspective. Pretty much what fans are saying why they don't cheer is because they need a little help from the team to cheer. So the fans are blaming the players. The players are blaming the fans. It's not good situation all round. I think what needs to happen is the fans need to do their job and sing throughout the game and create a really good atmosphere and create a toxic atmosphere, or like a bit of a cauldron for the away team to come, because way too often it's too nicey nice for an opposition team to come to the stadium, whereas the stadium's a bit dead. We don't put them under pressure. That's what we used to do at White Hart Lane, when Arsenal used to come, when Chelsea used to come, when many other teams used to come. They didn't feel welcome at the stadium, and we used to put them under a lot of pressure, and I feel like that's gone since the new stadium has come, apart from a few select games. But like I said, like Vicario, I think he's right to call for more for the fans, but he shouldn't use it as an excuse for the performance.
And he kind of seems like he is, because he said if we had support from the fans, we could do stuff better. It's like you shouldn't need the fans to cheer you on to do better. Obviously, it should help you, but you should never say, well, if we had the fans. He's kind of saying if we had the fans supporting some of these situations, maybe things would have been better. That kind of does seem to be excusing it a bit. Frank also just followed on from it, saying, I think the fans were fantastic for the first 30 minutes on Saturday night. I think the noise was incredible and that carried us forward. It seemed there was a little bit of a turning point when we conceded the goal, where we all get a little bit frustrated, which is natural. I think it's more than fair because we are in the performance business. If we can't deal with the pressure and the negativity or the criticism, we shouldn't be sitting here. And then he said, it's nice, the big occasions, the big crowds. I think the fans were fantastic for the first 30. And after the game, if we perform badly, and on top of that, we lost the game, more than fair enough, they boo us. But during the game, we need a little bit of help. And especially when it's not going the right way, they can be the turning point. We are down 1-0. Last 15, imagine they carry us over the line and we get a little bit of an unfair 1-1. What a feeling. That can be the difference in a long season.
Yeah, and I think he's right, to be honest. Like I said, like the fans, when things are not going right on the pitch, the fans need to be there to support the team. And you never know what can happen through that, albeit the team have to perform on their own merit. But look, we all know it's not been great in terms of performance levels this season for many games. At home specifically, where the fans have been pretty much dead throughout. So the fans need to do all they can to kind of lift that performance. But the players need to be doing a lot more as well.
I think there's a bit of a difference. I'm not saying necessarily the fans have to respond just about what they're seeing on the pitch. I think generally you do have to be supportive and you need to be encouraging when you're in the stands. But I think there is a difference when you're seeing the team do certain things on the pitch, put the opposition under pressure, battle for second balls, win aerial duels, getting closer to the box, whipping crosses in and looking like they could maybe create something. Then obviously you're like encouraging, you're getting behind it, like let's go again. Like, okay, you miss a chance, let's go again. Encouraging, not letting bad things negatively that happen on the pitch affect your support. Okay, someone misses a big chance, okay, we go again. But the problem with Saturday is we weren't even getting into their half. We weren't even getting near the box. What is there to encourage? You know what I mean? We can't even encourage them to get near the penalty area. We're lumping the ball into the box and the keeper's coming and claiming it every time. We're not even fashioning any sort of opportunity. So in essence, what we would be cheering is we'd be cheering Chelsea's dominance, and Chelsea, we'd be cheering Chelsea creating chances, and it's hard to do that, to kind of be supportive in that fashion when Chelsea are opening you up. We're not getting in their half or anywhere near their box, and it's very, very difficult to be encouraging in those situations and not get very frustrated. I know it's not the right thing, but I think sometimes I think when I hear Vicario and stuff saying, yeah, we might be able to deal with certain situations, but what situation would you have dealt better with? You were making some horrendous decisions on the game, not him personally, but the team.
He did as well, and towards the end, bloody hell.
What would that free kick, that right at the end, if the fans were more supporting, you wouldn't have done that, you know what I mean?
But I don't think it's just on that one occasion. I think it's many occasions at the stadium since it's open that we've had this situation. We can all look at this Chelsea game as an isolated situation. Yeah, maybe it wouldn't have made a difference, but we know that we haven't been good enough on many occasions, and it needs to be a lot better. That's the reality. Yeah, that's the reality. We've not been good enough. We've not done our job as fans. Our job is to support the club and support the team from the stands and create a bit of an intense atmosphere for opposition teams to come. What happens if, Chelsea were given pretty much a free ride at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, like many other teams are? What happens if you whistle and jeer them and boo them every time they're on the pitch, put them under a bit of a pressure? Maybe they're forced into a mistake or something. Maybe something can happen. Maybe it can give us some sort of small advantage or small something that can give us a small advantage on the pitch. You never know what can happen. And look, don't get me wrong, that was nowhere near good enough at the Chelsea game. And I understand that Spurs fans were getting very frustrated in the stands, and I was getting very frustrated here watching the game. But like I said, I don't think it's just about what he's mentioning. It's just about Chelsea as an isolated situation. I think it's a common problem and a consistent problem at the stadium.
And I have to say, we're 1-0 down with 5 minutes to go, and I did see fans leaving. And it's 1-0. I know it would have been awful, don't get me wrong. And I know I'm watching the same game. I can understand that there's very little opportunity that we're going to get back in this game the way we were playing. But at the end of the day, it's 1-0. Anything can happen. A shot from 30 yards deflects in. You get a corner and you bundle it home. At 1-0, the game is there at any point. Even doesn't matter how bad you're playing, the game is always open at 1-0. And the fact that I saw fans leaving at 1-0 down, really, especially at home to Chelsea in a big game, that did really disappoint me.
Yeah, and
I understand the frustration, but surely 1-0 down, it's still so tight. You can't leave early.
Yeah, I've always never understood people leaving it when it's like just one goal in the game, because literally all it takes is one cross to be swung in to go off someone's backside. You're back in the game 1-1, and then let's go. We go again for the winner. And I understand it didn't. There was little, not very much chance of that happening on the weekend, because that's how bad Spurs were, and then we weren't swinging in balls into the box, and we weren't creating chances, and we barely had a shot on goal all game. But this is football. You don't know what's around the corner. Anything can happen. So stay to the end, support your team, and you never know what can happen.
But is these comments, is he potentially putting himself under more pressure with some of these comments? Because you're now going to get fans, if there is a bad game, another bad performance, like getting on his back about saying, oh, you want us to cheer, you want us to look what you're serving us up, this kind of stuff. And like them calling for more support from the fans and saying, the fans need to do their bit more during games, which I don't disagree with. But making those comments, especially after such a bad performance, is it just putting undue pressure on himself?
I don't think so. I think he's just saying what should happen and what needs to happen, and he might feel the need to say it because our home support is absolutely dire. And it's not just him saying it; the fans are saying it as well. The match-going fans that have all these initiatives that to create the atmosphere and to build the atmosphere. That section of the fan base keeps saying this time and time again. So I think it needs to reach the wider kind of reach in the Spurs fan base, and the Spurs fan base needs to get a lot better. It's been too poor for too long, in my opinion, and something drastic needs to happen for it to change and for it to get better. And whether that's, it needs to start within the club and they need to start helping these fan groups and whatever. Does it start with Frank and Vicario addressing it and whatever? I don't know how they get it better or what needs to happen. But something needs to happen, and it needs to happen fast, because like I said before, it's too easy for away teams to come to our stadium. We make it too easy for them. The players on the pitch obviously need to make it harder as well. Don't get me wrong, that's also another situation where it's not been good enough. But I think it should start from both on the pitch and off the pitch. So
there was a BBC report yesterday, obviously off the back of this, saying what happened with Van de Ven and Jed Spence wasn't seen internally as a disrespect towards Frank. It was more, they say it as a show of frustration of what had developed and a build-up of negativity from fans at their home stadium over previous weeks. Now, with what Frank said, it kind of confirms that, what that report's saying.
Yeah.
There's got to be a big worry if the players are feeling that way. Fans are obviously not happy with how they're performing, and it's hard to kind of do your job when we're not even getting close to the opposition penalty area. At the moment, is there a worry that the connection between the squad and the fans, which needs to be strong, is kind of splintered? Even though we're fourth in the league at the moment, things from the outside aren't looking too badly. Results have started quite well under Frank, albeit home performances and results have been terrible. But overall, you look at it, unbeaten the Champions League, fourth in the league and stuff. But is there a worry that this problem could fester between the fans and the players?
I mean, how bad can it get? I don't know. I don't know.
They're reacting like that because they're saying there's a build-up of negativity from the home fans.
Yeah, I think it's a multitude of things. I don't think it's just because of the way the fans reacted in the stadium. I think it's because of the way they're playing as well. I think it's many things all kind of just culminated came to a head basically at the end of the game, and then they've shown their frustration. So, look, I don't like the narrative where the fans are being blamed for performances on the pitch. That should never happen. And it's not the fans' fault that the players are performing this way. It's not. However, the fans need to be doing a lot more. Our job is to support them through the bad times, and that was a very bad time on the weekend. So the fans need to be doing a lot better, but it's nowhere near the fans' fault. But the fans can do more to enhance the situation to make it a bit better.
And Vicario also confirmed, by the way, that he was pushing Bergvall away from a potentially argumentative situation with a fan.
See, I don't get that. Like, why? Like, why? Why is there an argument between Bergvall and a fan? Like, Bergvall went off in the 5th minute.
With a concussion.
You know what I mean? He's a teenager who was like 20, 19 years of age.
He was desperate to stay on as
exactly.
well.
You know, he wanted to play through a concussion for the team.
It must have just been in some sort of video. I don't know. It's hard to... How can it not be? I don't know. It's hard to say, calling this guy an idiot without knowing his side of the story, but I don't really see why you'd be shouting at Bergvall, if anyone.
It's ridiculous. It's probably because Bergvall was just the closest player to him, and he just wanted to take out his frustration on someone.
Vicario said it doesn't represent all fans, but obviously when you've got such a large amount of people in one place, there's going to be some, bad people, and that's just the reality.
Yeah, look, you see this in all clubs, all stadiums. Spurs aren't the only team that have this, but I call on people to be better. There's no need to throw a boost at a young player who's doing their best to stay on the pitch after having concussion. More times than not, he's been one of the better players at this football club. He shows he cares. He's a very good player, and he's got a big future ahead of him. So there's no need for it.
And it's just such a shame. It seemed as though the players and the fans and stuff, especially after winning that Europa League, it's understandable. You win a cup, there's going to be a lot of closeness and unity, but it's sad to think about that's been splintered like so early on in the season, if that's what's happening.
Yeah, I don't think that's the case, to be honest. I think it's easily put right. Get a win, play well. If the players perform on the pitch, the fans are going to start singing. If the fans start singing, everything's all right. So I don't think it's a massively negative situation brewing. I just think it's just one of these things on the backlash of the Chelsea game.
I think at home it has been brewing a bit. Clearly, it's not because obviously this isn't just a Frank thing. Our home form has been absolutely tragic for a long time. 18 months probably now. So obviously those are the season ticket. A lot of season ticket holders. They're going every week. There's 60,000 fans in there every week, and we've been served 3 wins in the past, however long, nearly calendar year. So I think, especially when you put into the fact, high ticket prices, all that kind of stuff is even higher this year as well. There might be a sign of growing discontent of within the fan base, especially with the home form and how bad that had it's been. And to be honest, it's been pretty bad ever since we moved in, but especially in the last year, it's been like another level of bad.
Yeah, but who do you put the blame on that?
I don't know. It's about blaming. It's just about the frustration within that stadium it's like every week, every time we go there, we come out disappointed and frustrated, and we're paying high prices. And in this day and age as well, where fans are treated more and more like customers, well, this is them leaving their customer review. You know what I mean? This is what it's like now. I feel like these days, like the bar for booing now. I understand maybe Saturday was particularly bad performance. I wasn't there at the other home games. Were there booing?
No.
At the end of games?
No booing.
There was no booing. So okay, but I feel like the bar for when your team gets booed is getting lower and lower, essentially.
It is, but that's just the nature. I don't know if it's the nature of society, the nature of football fans right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That is just unfortunately what we're dealing with right now inside stadiums, and I don't think it's just Tottenham. I think it's all over the country. And look, I've made it clear on a number of occasions. I don't agree with booing in a stadium or booing your own team unless something really bad happens. And I understand the performance was really bad. I probably wouldn't have booed if I was in the stadium, but I can understand the fans booing because that performance was just not on, like nowhere near acceptable. Like I think the only time I've ever booed a Spurs player is Hossam Ghali when he threw the shirt at Martin Yol. I think that's the only, because that was a clear disrespect of the shirt, and I think that's what warrants booing. A poor performance can happen at any time, at any given occasion. Like, in my opinion, I would prefer to support the team through it and try sing my heart out, and hopefully it gets better the next game. Another one who I probably would have booed if I was in the stadium was Ndombele. The way he walked off against Morecambe, I probably would have booed then. But yeah, maybe I'm just old school like that, but I don't like to boo.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't like. For me, when we were growing up and whatever, we used to go to games, always supported. Even if it's a bad result, you know, if you see the players giving 100% and whatever, you never really boo. Usually, booing was like a sign of like your manager's basically on his last legs. He's like, it's time for a change kind of thing, or the players are really not giving a shit. Like everything's turning to shit, and then like the fans voice their frustration. Now it's like, you're fifth in the league, you have a bad game, and everyone's booing.
Yeah,
like,
it's ridiculous.
That's what it's like.
It's ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. Like, I can't put any more words on it. Like, it's just stupid.
It was loud, half-time and full-time, very loud. Maybe it's because, you know, Chelsea adds that extra spice as well, so it's like extra bit like of frustration that we're playing badly against them.
But also, like, everyone, the people that boo would say, you know, we pay a hell of a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying.
To come to the game, and we've been served up that kind of crap on a week-to-week basis.
When you're getting treated like customers, increasingly more like football fans are, then fans are going to feel more entitled to give their opinion and give it vociferously, I guess. I think back in the day, it was more like you're there to support your supporters, and now it feels like you're there to watch, you're there to be entertained, you're there as a customer. You know, they're providing you a service of entertaining you, watching you football.
Yeah.
Whereas before, it's like you're buying a ticket to be part of a community so you can help support the team. Feels very different to that now.
It does feel different, but I in my mentality is still, you know, what it used to be. You know, I go there and you have a duty as a fan to support the team. That's how I feel about it.
I feel like around Europe, you know, you look at Germany and things like that, I think they still have that. And maybe that's because they have all these fan initiatives about ownership and stuff like that. They've been able to keep it. Every game is a really good atmosphere, and there's you know, there's all that stuff. But it seems in the Premier League we've lost that a bit. I mean, a lot of clubs. I don't know. Maybe there are some clubs that still have it, like Palace. Maybe you could argue, but a lot of teams in the Premier League, that element is gone.
Yeah, but look, having said that, you know, Phil P, big up to Phil P in the comments, says that the crowd will bang up for it on Saturday.
They were.
And the boos came at the end, and it was deserved. Abject derby display, gutless performance, unacceptable performance equal booing. And look, it was an unacceptable performance, that one against Chelsea. Like, it was completely unacceptable. So that's what I was saying. Like, I understand the booing. Like, on the majority of occasion, I don't really understand booing, but at the end of that Chelsea game, I understood it. Because of the performance. Not like I wouldn't have booed probably if I was in the stadium, but I still understand it completely.
I understand it based off the performance 100%, but as I've said, like, I think when we were growing up, that wasn't enough. Just one bad game to boo. It would have to be like a whole big thing, like of where the club's direction going and stuff. Like, you know, AVB's last days would be, you'd be booing and stuff like that. Or, you know, obviously when Nuno had that game against Man United, then you know, that was like, okay, what the hell are we doing here as a club? I don't know if we're at that stage yet with Frank or anything like that. Like, things are still looking okay. Obviously, I need improvements, and performance-wise, big improvements. And yes, there are things to be concerned about, but no, we're still doing all right. Like, there's no need to like be up in arms about everything. But I do understand that level of performance yesterday on Saturday was horrendous. Just talking about Frank though as well. Going to another quote about him specifically, he said there's a narrative that you're a defensive coach, a pragmatist who can tweak things, but maybe not such a front-footed kind of coach. Are you surprised by that, given your record of Brentford? He said it depends on whose narrative that is. A journalist, a few fans. I guess we have quite a few fans out there, but I guess the ones who write on social media, and I'm not on social media. I'm very aware we haven't been free-flowing in some games. I think there's definitely been some moments where we've been quite good. It's something we work very hard on every single day. It's fair to say every single team I've managed, we've been able to score a lot of goals. Also, a Brentford team with, let's say, less on paper, lesser players creating and scoring goals. I'm convinced we'll do the same here. I think it's fair to say we are working very hard. The players are doing everything they can, and it's my job with the coaches to make sure they hit good relations and good structure and good confidence. So he's denying any accusation of him being a defensive or pragmatic coach.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not what we've seen with our own eyes so far this season. It has looked kind of defence first, quite a bit of pragmatism. But let's see how it develops. If this is what he's saying he wants to be or he thinks he is, I believe him. And let's hope that it's going to get better.
Yeah, for me, when it comes down to this kind of stuff, I think actions always speak louder than words. We did hear the same with Conte and Mourinho. Like, they would say, when they first came in a job, they said, yeah, we want to play attacking football, we want to play beautiful football. And then when they came, it was few and far between. There clearly wasn't a focus on that. There clearly was a focus on being quite defensive and counter-attacking and stuff like that. And just because...
Maybe in their mind, counter-attacking still has attacking in
there. I guess. But, like... Also, teams that score goals, you can have a defensive team that score goals. You know, Mourinho holds the record for goals scored in La Liga, that Real Madrid team. Like, would you categorise Mourinho as a defensive coach? I guess depends how you see it. But do I think Frank is a I wouldn't call him a defensive coach, but I would call him a pragmatic coach. I think those are two different things, defensive and pragmatic. I think defensive is like, we're gonna basically just defend our goal and we're not going to look to go. We're going to look to go forward on the odd occasion and try and, like, you know, get a goal out of somewhere. But we're not focused on creating chances. We're focused on keeping clean sheets, and we're focused on defending. And, you know, if we score a goal, we score a goal. That's kind of like how I see defensive. Pragmatic is like, we're gonna make use of what we have, and we're gonna play the most efficient way to try and win the game. And if that means one game we have to sit back, then we have to sit back, and that's pragmatism. But then other games, you know, maybe that's not the most pragmatic way to go about it. So I think he is pragmatic, and I think maybe you could argue in the first, how long has it been, 3 months, maybe he felt like in the first 3 months the best way to be getting results for this team is playing the way we are. And to be fair, the results haven't been bad, apart from obviously the home games, but, you know, we are still doing quite well in the league. So maybe he's, you know, you could argue this is the best way right now, while we've got a lot of players out injured in the forward line, while players are adjusting, while they're gelling, you know. Maybe the way we are playing is the best way to be getting results in the meantime during that. So I do think he's pragmatic. However, at Brentford, it was a counter-attacking style. That's what it was. But again, that's because he was being pragmatic. You can't be, as a Brentford team with the wage bill that he has, can he be a team that's dominating the ball and technically better than the other players, other team?
But that Brentford team was exciting to watch, though, at times. You know, they pressed high up the pitch at times. They forced the opposition into mistakes, you know. They were an exciting team. Like last year, it was crazy the amount of goals they were scoring and conceding, you know. So look, at the end of the day, I do not care in the way that he wants to set us up. I mean, all I care about is winning football matches. And if this is the way he thinks it's going to happen, and we do go and win football matches, then fine. But if we're going to serve up this kind of sideways passing, a bit of boring football, and we're going to lose games and we can't win at home, then that's when I have a massive problem with it. But he needs to make sure that we go and win games if this is the way he wants to play. But I don't believe that what we're seeing right now is the way he wants to play. I don't believe it.
Well, yeah. I mean, we didn't have we had one shot against Chelsea, so I doubt that's like his aim. And I'm sure these are more teething problems in terms of things will get better when it comes to how effective we're going to be. When it comes to the style of play, that remains to be seen. Again, as I've said, actions speak louder than words. I can't sit here and say he's going to bring lovely attacking football when I don't know that for sure. Will performances get better than they are? I'm sure they will. I'm sure we're going to get more used to what he wants, what he's asking, and things are going to get more efficient. But I'm still on the style and the setup, whether how limited it is, all that kind of stuff. That's just a waiting game. I don't really know. That's just like, at the end of the day, this is kind of new ground for him at this kind of club, this level of expectation, this kind of wage, transfer budgets, all these kind of stuff. Also playing in European Football Champions League. So, you know, he talked about a few times now, oh, we lacked intensity here. Oh, this game we lacked intensity. Like, why is that happening? I think it's probably happening because he's still working on how can I get this team to be as intense from one game to another while playing in midweek, when he's so used to playing one game a week, and they can keep that intensity up week by week. And now it's different. Now he has to somehow keep that intensity up game by game, while maybe changing players, or maybe rotating, while figuring out playing 2 games in a week, when the recovery, how much recovery they need, all these different things. So it's frustrating, but it's a learning curve for him.
It is a learning curve, and you need to go step by step. It's the beginning of a managerial's tenure. It doesn't always go according to plan, and I don't think it is going according to plan right now, to a certain extent, in the way that he wants to play. But on the flip side of that, like you mentioned, we're within touching distance of second in the league. So it's a good starting block in terms of the results that we're getting on a consistent basis. Yes, I know some of the results that we have are nowhere near good enough and need to be better. But, I mean, if we would have got the results in those games, we'd be, close to top of the league. So I think things are going okay right now. I don't think they're going terribly wrong, horribly wrong. After the Chelsea game, it felt like the world was crashing down and everything was going to shit and everything's wrong at this football club. But, if you look at the bigger picture, Danny Kiriakou, I hope you're watching. If you do look at the bigger picture, I think, it's not looking too bad.
The Athletic wrote an article saying there's starting to be more parallels between Frank and Nuno. Do you think that's fair in terms of the start of the tenures? Is there any fear that Frank could be Nuno'd? Is that a crazy suggestion, or why are they drawing that parallel? I think that's a bit unfair.
I mean, they're drawing the parallel because under Nuno, we went 3 or 4 games in a row without having a shot on target or something.
It's true. We were getting battered though 3-0. I guess we could have been battered 3-0 on Saturday.
But Nuno did have Kane and Son. So I don't know how you don't have a shot on target without Kane and Son on the pitch. I guarantee you, if Frank had Kane and Son and a prime Kane and Son, that wouldn't be happening. But
do you think it's fair to draw parallels at this point?
I think, look, it's only natural, in my opinion, that's going to happen after the result that that happened at Chelsea and the way we conducted ourselves on the pitch, and we didn't have a shot on target, blah, blah, blah. And we're not having enough shots on target in general. That is the reality.
Yeah, I think we're 4th bottom for shots.
Yeah, so I see more. I see more in this team and the way Frank's kind of conducting himself, and to when Nuno was here. I think it's unfair, to be honest. But also, at the time when we had Nuno, was it fair to sack him, and should have we given him more time? He's shown himself to be a good manager.
I mean, he had. It's very similar in terms of the kind of job he did at Wolves compared to what Frank did at Brentford. He got Wolves into Europe, I think, after getting them promoted from the Championship, and we gave him 10 games. We gave him 10 games. He won 5. He lost 5, and that's not great. I guess the thing was, even in the wins, we were terrible. We were winning 1-0 with a free kick that went all the way in, and he got manager of the month in August, but no one could say we were playing well. Obviously, we beat City opening game. That was great, but apart from that, the other wins were horrific. I remember Wolves away, we got battered and we somehow scraped a 1-0.
I think Frank showed in the PSG game and Man City game and Burnley game alone that is better than the Nuno tenure at the beginning.
Well, Nuno beat City.
I know, but I think the way we beat City at the Etihad this year, I think it was something else.
And I guess the difference as well, when we were losing, we were getting battered 3-0, and it was and we weren't getting shots on target. It was really horrendous at that time. And as well, you got to remember there was such negativity around the club. We sat Mourinho before we just sat Mourinho before the cup final, and then we had a protracted managerial search, and Nuno was our 7th choice, and it was kind of doomed to fail from the start because no one actually. I think the club didn't actually want him. Whereas Frank's a bit different. He's been our first choice, to replace Ange.
He came first of a list of 137 managers.
Yeah, and I think the results and performances have definitely been better than they were under Nuno, albeit probably you would say the performance on Saturday was probably just as bad or worse than anything we saw under Nuno. But I think.
Do you believe that this could be Nuno 2.0?
No, I don't. I wouldn't. I think it's a disingenuous parallel. I think Frank's doing a lot better. You've got to remember as well, Nuno was in Conference League and he was losing those games as well. He lost to Pacos to Ferrer, didn't he?
Yeah.
Whereas, Frank's in Champions League, and yes, we're not playing that well, but we're still getting all right results.
But I think
I think it's unfair to draw that parallel. I don't think there's any danger really of Frank being Nuno.
But I think let's just support the team. Let's see where it goes. Give the manager some time to settle in and to get his team and to get his tactics, fully through to the squad, and let's see where it goes. And I think you judge it towards the back end, hopefully at the end of the season when things are a lot better.
I guess the only thing I would say about Frank being Nuno is there any evidence that Frank is definitely a better manager than Nuno? That is a fair point, I would say. But yeah.
evidence. I mean, you look at Nuno's Forest team. What they finished 7th last season, 6th, whatever it was.
7th, yeah.
7th, where they should have finished in the top 4, but they were very hard to watch, but they got results. That's the reality. His Wolves team, where was the highest it finished?
They also have Europa League, I think 6th or 7th. They got Europa League. I think they got to Europa League quarter final, but then he ended up getting sacked because they had a drop. But then, he did end up getting sacked, but they got far worse after he got sacked. Like they've been in an absolute mess ever since they let go of Nuno.
Yeah, they'd die for him back now.
They would kill for Nuno, but I think they didn't realise how good they had it.
Yeah, I think they realise now.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say Nuno's a better manager than Frank.
Just saying. I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying, is there any evidence that Frank is definitely a better manager than Nuno? I think that's.
Yeah, it's just interesting to see. Would Nuno has also not done the job of bringing a team down for the championship, and with as little resources as Brentford. I know the clubs that you have are not. You don't have the biggest amount of resources, but I think Brentford's a different kettle of fish.
Brentford is a different kettle of fish, but at the end of the day, Nuno did get promoted and then get into Europe, so that's what he did. Yeah,
it's true. But look. I think Nuno in his own right is a good manager. I'd prefer to have Frank at the football club.
He also won the Saudi Pro League, didn't he?
Did he win it? I don't know.
I think he won it. I think he won the league, yeah. Give as much credit to him for that as you will.
Did he have Ronaldo in his team? Was it that team?
I think he had the one with Benzema in it.
Benzema. Not bad, having Benzema.
No, Al Hilal. I don't know. Is it Al Hilal?
Yeah.
Al Hilal.
Did he get sacked from them?
I think he won the league and then got sacked. No, he won the league and then he had a fallout with Benzema, and I think one of them had to go.
Yeah.
He has a lot of fallouts, you have to say that. He does have a lot of fallouts. Because I think he had a fallout with the Wolves guy as well, which led to him being sacked.
Do you think he keeps West Ham up?
I mean, they played a great game against I think they need a bit of firepower in Jan, and I think if they get that, he'll keep him up. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he's for sure good enough manager to keep him up. He is.
All right. Any other quotes?
Nothing that we need to. Yeah, no, that's it. I mean, there are, but nothing really that interesting.
All right. Well, let us know your thoughts about those comments in the press conference in the comments section below.